For those who don't know what this is about, hashtag Britain, a third world country ran by a hashtag terrorist organization of hashtag radicalized hashtag Christians called the hashtag Tory Party, wants to revive ancient decency laws from 1960. Their primary enemy, of course, is the free and open internet. This hashtag government of shaved primates boiled in a cooking pot is demanding hashtag porn sites to engage in hashtag discrimination and identity theft or be blocked. Because, what do you know, some brain-dead apes still think it's harmful for kids to watch hashtag NSFW content in the 21st century. Now I know how much I will be hated for this. Oh, how I know. But you see, this sort of thing is why I must fight in support of some very unconventional ideas. One being the eradication of hashtag ageism, hashtag age discrimination, and equal rights for hashtag underage people, including sexual rights. And fight I will, because I won't stop until either I'm dead or the current social culture is buried deep under the ground where it belongs. If supporting real equality instead of being a hypocrite makes me a monster, I'll be the biggest monster this world has seen. Yes, I will say it, discriminating hashtag underage hashtag children is in no way different from hashtag racism and hashtag sexism, no matter how your sorry little world dresses it. Want to deny people under 18 the right to even look at hashtag porn on the internet? Try doing the same to someone for being black, female, or part of any other group or identity. But you wouldn't dare, would you? Because your hateful shit wouldn't hold against them motherfuckers. Teens under the age of 18 you can step on, they don't know how to organize and defend their rights. You missed a detail though, they grow up, and even after 15 years some of us remember and don't forgive how we were treated.
Fucking degenerate.
Hateful regimes like that of hashtag Britain seek to re-legalize such hashtag discrimination and repress people for who they are. In response, I shall militate with all my might for what hurts them the most, legalization of consensual hashtag pedophilia and hashtag zoophilia and other sexualities that were mistreated by their ignorant moralist cult. I will hit them with all I have until their moral order crumbles to the fucking ground, and everyone is free to be themselves and live happily. What are you gonna do, block me? Countless people already have, all the less hateful bastards in my life. Hate me? Half the world hates me with a burning rage. I feed off this hate, I thrive from knowing you want me dead. Kill me? Go ahead, I've been waiting for a decade now. You think I enjoy one bit of being trapped on this demented world with you all? I never wanted to be here one bit. Want to know the secret? I'd gladly do the job myself, if only I didn't have to worry about exactly what comes after. That and caring for the feelings of a few people. Ones who for some reason, decided to care for someone like me, and wish to see me alive again the next day. Heck of a monster, aren't I? Can't even die because I don't want to make others sad. But the world said I'm evil, so I'll take its word for it. Hopefully I have at least eviled the right kinds of people. Anyway, I think that's enough destroying my own image for one day. By now I've ensured I'll be remembered as a lunatic for the remainder of my life and beyond. This thread too will be documented on the permanent internet, to be used against me years from now. Yet should I even care? I must admit I'm somewhat growing to like it, wondering what others must be thinking of me. Finding fun in the absurdity and madness, once I know it's the last fun thing left to enjoy and laugh throughout.
Here comes a new challenger!
TBH, first time I've heard of the idea that children should be allowed to see porn. I tend to believe the conventional thinking that there's no reason kids should see porn and that it can be harmful to how they view sex in the long term. But you appear to disagree with that. Any reasons you think that's wrong? Also, there are different kinds of porn. What kinds are you advocating for? I do sometimes wonder how we evolved into a society where it's okay for kids to see and be entertained by violence, but not okay to see peaceful, consensual sex, for example, on primetime TV. I don't advocate for that, but I do think it's strange that generally in real life, and according to Christianity, murder is one of the worst sins. But the FCC approves of someone gets shot in the head on TV, but not graphic scenes of sex between married people or consenting adults.
I see that as well, and fully agree. I'm not talking about violence in fiction, like films or video games, which I strongly believe is harmless. A culture based on violence and ignorance is still thriving in real society, and we talk about it, but no one truly treats that as a problem. Yet someone looking at even some harmless artwork is considered a heinous crime, with artists chased around for making a drawing or for who is looking at a drawing they made. What a world! Probably not in the best state of mind to explain, as my panic attack from earlier got my brain into another drunken state. My belief comes in part from my own experiences. I've had some bad ones when I was younger, which to me felt on par with brainwashing. Despite having turned 30 last week, the harm is there to this day. It's furthered when I see how 15 years later, nobody understood just how wrong certain practices are and what harmful effects they can have, and I'm still told that experience I went through doesn't exist and my mind is just making it up.
I can see from your writing that you're in a lot of pain and it's obvious that you've been hurt. I can't claim to understand what you've been through. I can relate a little to stuff like brainwashing though.
It is what it is. Other people have been through worse from many perspectives. In this case, some of my feelings are related to a bad episode I went through at the age of 16. I was nearly banned from half the internet and lost work and friends, due to being on sites that allowed #NSFW content and people with those extremist beliefs hunting me down. I had to hide my identity and live in fear of being banned for 2 years. In some of those places, the fixation with #banning #underage users looking at #porn was so bad, they had other users rat out on anyone found to be under 18 to the admins. I found that out later, the mods nearly turned friends against me. I narrowly escaped someone I trusted getting me banned from one of the few places I enjoyed being in. All for some absolutely stupid, ridiculous, and unrealistic paranoia. Which even 15 years later still continues across the internet. I've been watching #porn #art since before I was 16. I was always perfectly fine. Neither back then nor today could I understand how it magically damages someone's mind. I even tried to explain to people at the time that I'm perfectly fine, but they do not listen to anyone. They've convinced themselves of whatever delusion they have, and continue using it to mistreat and scare people who are doing nothing wrong, then tell them it's their fault.
In a society where people with #depression are told they have a #mental illness and yet they grow up, as I did, being told such things that if you are bad you'll go to hell, and reminded that there are enough nuclear weapons to blow up the world over 1000x, as I grew up in the 80s during the Cold War. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's kind of like being in an abuse relationship. If you live with someone who is lying to you all the time, a person can be traumatized by mental and emotional abuse.
What they don't understand is that abuse goes both ways. #sexual abuse is a real thing on one side, and it's a horrible one. I was lucky to escape it myself, but I know that others weren't. Then you have the other extreme, violent hateful repression, protecting young people against themselves from imaginary dangers, because some fear they could be sexually abused. I had to suffer from this one, and do believe I can't possibly be the only one who does. As a 16-year-old who had just gotten cable internet for the first time, I went through 2 years of people telling me you're mentally inferior because you're under 18 and treating me as if I was diseased and no one should be near me. Keep in mind it wasn't even my parents doing this, who thankfully never really cared what I did. It was online friends and especially site admins. Somehow they did more harm than even my parents could, citing dumb laws as an excuse.
I was about 15 when we first got cable TV. I'm 46. Some porn there. When I was 12, I stole Playboy mags from my mom's boyfriend. I don't know how much that affected my views on sex. I've never really had effective relationships with women, but couldn't say how much early exposure to porn had an impact. Though my desire to even look at porn was probably due to the subject being so taboo and having no one to talk about my feelings with. There are many other things from my childhood that have had a negative impact on my adult relationships, so impossible to determine what caused what exactly. My dad committed suicide when I was 8 years old, and we moved around every 1 or 2 after that, so never had many stable relationships with male role models or peers.
I'm really sorry. I always felt you were unhappy. Somehow I tend to pick up on those things. It's always those who are nice that life hates and does those things too. I hate it. My father left me and my mother very suddenly when I was early 20-ish. He left her after falling in love with a maid in France, from a hotel we all stayed at during a trip there. I was never upset at his choice to be with whoever he wanted, only with him transforming overnight and treating everyone horribly, including my mother. I can't say it made such an impact on me though. I don't hold it against him too much either, though we've barely spoken in years. It's been horrible for my mother for the first few years, as they've been together for over 20 years when it happened and no one saw it coming. I was given the option to go with my father in France, but chose to stay with my mother to help her out. I definitely believe I made the right choice. He is a rather cold man. By now he'd have probably left me on some street to fend for myself or something.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
The only time I touched a real-life #porn magazine was a funny episode around the age of 10 I think. We were at the countryside and I accidentally found one on a shelf. Ironically I didn't even look at it much since it wasn't really my thing. But my grandfather found out and would start screaming about it. I would thus troll him by showing it to him and saying, "Hey grandpa, I have the porn magazine," and making him chase me around the yard to get it.
Hee hee, what a funny image. Darkly ironic, the same anti-sex people are the ones making the issue worse by keeping it as such a taboo subject. It seems sex has always been more taboo than violence. The Roman Colosseum used for amusement and gladiator fights, and so forth down the line until today there's boxing and other sports that are known to cause permanent physical damage. After we try to teach kids not be violent. PFFF.
I argue with those people on #Twitter weekly. Many of those who attack others for their #sexual attractions behave in some of the most reprehensible ways. Just this week someone told a person with terminal cancer that they'll throw a party when they die, then dump on their grave. That was after someone else posted that they'll defile people's graves and more. Gee, what mentally sound people, pillars of morality, and good sources to take life lessons from. People like them further fuel me to support what I support. Their vision is what I want to get rid of. This world based on hate, intolerance, stupidity, unnecessary repression. This can only be achieved with a big paradigm shift at core social level. It's already happened with other groups. Acceptance of #gay #LGBT people is the best example. We even have some states legalizing #drugs and freaking out less about people using them. But much work remains to be done.
Marijuana was just legalized for medicinal use in my state in the last year or so. People who say stuff like that don't matter in my opinion. Or they are children and hopefully will learn better manners in the future. In a world where we know the government lies, corporations exploit people, the media isn't always accurate. Being exposed to so many lies or conflicting data inevitably could easily lead to someone having #mental health issues, and those are just more external factors, doesn't even include what happens within one's own family.
I've grown to learn that people only care about the harm they do to others when it's in line with their ideology. When the thing that harmed you exposes a flaw in the world's thinking, you are blamed for the bad things that happen to you. Everything, and I mean everything, is selective, torture, discrimination, etc. When others do it, everyone agrees how horrible it is. Then when they do it in another form, it's somehow different and we should not dare compare. Thank you. I'm truly glad there are nice and cool people like you too. It gives me a bit of hope. Though it also makes me feel a bit more guilty for how much I wish life on this planet could just be erased sometimes.
Thank you. In all our conversations, although we have many different interests and opinions, I've never thought of you as evil and still don't. I still get the impression that you're a good person who cares about people. As for the people in the world who seem to be just out for themselves or harmful to others, it's tough not to think about. I try to remember all the good people I've met, but it is often difficult, I understand.